The muted replacement of Daniel Ricciardo with Liam Lawson for the rest of the 2024 F1 season means that all but one seat for 2025 is confirmed. Sauber, who will be renamed Audi in 2026, are the only team with a seat still unfilled at the moment. With just 6 races left this season, there isn't much time for the current drivers on the grid to prove they're worthy of that seat, and there is a lot of competition outside of F1 for the space as well. One driver who has been absolutely desperate for a return to Formula 1 is Mick Schumacher. As the son of legendary driver Michael, Mick came into the sport with a lot of hype, but found adapting to F1 hard at the struggling Haas team. After being cut adrift, he found himself a place in the World Endurance Championship, but could he be on his way back to F1? Let's check it out. Mick's first stint in Formula 1 was met with mixed opinions. Stepping into a Haas team in 2021 alongside Nikita Mazepin, he easily dominated the Russian driver, who only got the seat because Haas needed the money he bought after the COVID-19 pandemic left the team on the brink of collapse. Mick got the seat for the same reason, but at least showed some hope of competing in the sport following his F2 title. Haas basically ran the exact same car as the previous year to save money as well, and the two rookies ended up in an extremely uncompetitive car. On the one hand, no one expected anything from them because everyone knew what the situation was at the team. On the other hand, it was a rough introduction to Formula 1, as both drivers pushed to try and compete but were held back by their car. What ended up happening was that both drivers crashed a lot. Nikita got the boot for 2025 after Russia invaded Ukraine, though Haas would have kicked him for far less than that if they could. The car was better for Mick's second season, as Kevin Magnussen proved with 6 Grand Prix points finishes and 3 sprint race points finishes. Mick profited off that a little as well with 2-point finishes over the course of the season, but the mistakes from 2021 didn't go away. Mick still crashed a lot. In his 2 seasons, he cost Haas a total of $8.9 million in car damage, $1.9 million more than the second most destructive driver, Nicholas Latifi, cost Williams during the same period. For any F1 team, $8.9 million in repairs over 2 seasons is a lot of money out of the budget, which could have been spent on development. Remember that all repairs come out of the cost cap. For Haas, it was just too much money, and Mick was let go. Ferrari agreed with Haas's assessment of the young Schumacher and dropped him from their driver academy, seeing no potential in Mick as a future F1 driver. Toto Wolff did take Mick on as a test driver for the team, but Mick has never even had a sniff at a drive for Mercedes, the team his father used to drive for, despite Toto telling everyone who will listen how good Mick is. After a year sat in the Mercedes garage twiddling his thumbs, Mick took a spot in WEC driving for Alpine, who are as competitive as they are in F1. After 2 years out of the sport, Mick's chances of getting back onto the F1 grid are dwindling. But with German manufacturer Audi coming to F1 in 2026, there is still a chance for Mick. While serving as Mercedes reserve driver during the Singapore Grand Prix, the German driver acknowledged that his plan A is to land a race seat alongside Nico Hülkenberg at Audi-owned Sauber next year. Formula 1 is the big goal. It always was and it still is, Mick said on Sky Sports Germany recently. While there is still officially a space available at VCARB next year, it isn't an option for Mick. That means that all of Mick's energy at the moment is focused on Sauber and Audi for 2025. The former Haas driver indicated in the same interview with Sky that Sauber are likely to make a decision this month. The timing is likely due to the 3-weekend break that F1 is currently serving. Speaking about what he would do if he didn't make it back to F1, he said, "There'll be a decision in September, so we have to wait and see what happens," the former Haas driver told Sky Germany. "I'll deal with it when the time comes and Plan A does not work." But what Plan B is, he cannot say. Plan B must be in the back of my mind, he admitted. "I don't know where that will go at the moment. Formula 1 is the big goal. It always was and it always will be. That's why everything else has to stand still for now. The options that exist alongside it have to wait." Before I dissect whether Mick has a chance at that Sauber seat or not, please give this video a like and subscribe for more daily F1 news updates. Now 25, Schumacher is currently juggling his Mercedes reserve role with his seat at Alpine's WEC team. The best way he can make himself attractive to Audi is by performing as well as possible in both of those positions. The Alpine WEC team has been poor this year, but a podium at the most recent race in Fuji was a huge improvement. It's important that my jobs as a reserve driver and on the racetrack at Alpine go as well as possible, he said. It went really well in Fuji, Schumacher added, referring to his recent podium finish in the WEC. As for his Mercedes role, Mick explained that much of his work happens more behind the scenes, so you don't see exactly what's going on there. But it's going well there too, so we're all confident that I'll continue doing it. The other thing that Mick has going for him in his pursuit of the Audi seat is his nationality. As a German manufacturer, Audi have already shown they're keen to have German drivers by signing Nico Hülkenberg. Sadly for Mick, though, recent rumours indicate that the seat may be given to Bottas, though nothing has been made official by the team yet. A report by Bild said that Sauber will offer Bottas a one-year contract for 2025, as in Mattia Binotto's eyes, he is the best of a selection of bad options. If Liam Lawson can finish 12th or higher in any of the remaining 6 races, Bottas will fall to 23rd in a 20-driver championship. If Bottas is signed on for next season, it will be a pretty uninspiring choice by the team, if perhaps an unsurprising one. He offers experience and a safe pair of hands which can be used by Audi in their preparations for 2026, and if he underperforms compared to Hülkenberg, then they can just move him on at the end of 2025. If the team does go for Mick for 2025, that may not be so easy. While the young Schumacher surname may have helped him find sponsors and generate interest through his junior career, the legendary name has been a pain point in Formula 1. While sponsor interest is a plus for Mick, F1 teams aren't short of sponsors as it is, so it's less impactful in F1 than in the junior categories. What the Schumacher name does do is cause trouble, something ex-Haas boss Günther Steiner knows all too well. Steiner said in an interview with Sky Sports F1 last year that Haas found comments from the likes of his uncle Ralf Schumacher and parts of the German media to be counterproductive. They, speaking about the German media, tried to put the pressure on to keep Mick and blame the team, and I don't think that was good for Mick, said Steiner. The other thing going against Mick is that the perception of him on the grid is that he just isn't that exciting a prospect. Williams boss James Vowles, to a degree of backlash, said he'd been foolish to say Schumacher isn't special when explaining why Williams hadn't hired him instead of Franco Colapinto to see out the 2024 season, clarifying that he'd used that word in the context of multiple world champions, including Ayrton Senna and Lewis Hamilton. It isn't that Mick isn't a good driver, he clearly is because he made it to F1, but he isn't going to make an impact in F1 in the same way his father, or even his uncle did. If he was going to be a future superstar, he wouldn't have been outperformed by Magnussen by such a large margin in 2022. If Mick doesn't make it back to F1, he still has a promising career ahead of him, just not in motorsport's premier category. Alpine says it's doing all it can to retain Mick Schumacher as part of its hypercar lineup in the World Endurance Championship next year. In response to speculation about Mick's future, Philippe Sinot, team principal of Signatech Alpine, says the French team is in active dialogue with the 25-year-old to convince him to stay at the squad for the second term. Asked how confident he was about retaining Schumacher next year, he told Motorsport.com, "It's difficult to say. I hope he stays. We push and we say to him immediately that for us, it's a really key point that he must stay with us. But nothing is in my hand. Formula 1 is still Formula 1. We have to wait again. I hope in the short term we have some news about that." Whatever is to happen in Mick's future, it seems we'll find out soon. Sauber's driver announcement for 2025 is expected over the next couple of weeks, and if Mick isn't that driver, he's all but guaranteed to head back to the WEC for 2025. If it was your choice, would you give Mick a go at Sauber, or does he not impress you enough? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.